And welcome back. I'm Rich Stiles. Our next guest is Rob Labritz, Director of Golf at Glen Arbor Golf Club in New York, and now an official member of the Champions Tour. Good morning, Rob, and congratulations to you.
Good morning, Rich. How are you this morning?
I am great. How are you? You finally got out of Michigan, even with that storm coming up, huh? Or out of New York, sorry.
Yeah, we had about 6 inches up there in Westchester, and when 6 inches falls, it wreaks havoc in the area. But we got out got in late last night, and man, it's nice to be down here in the sun.
It always is nice to be away from snow. As my brother says, you don't have to shovel rain, but you do snow.
Yeah, it's well said.
Yeah.
Very well said.
All right. After playing and winning so many PGA Pro events, how does it feel now for you? And I know it's been a couple of weeks, but how does it feel to become an official member of the hardest tour in golf to get on and stay, the Champions Tour?
Yeah, it's been a great couple of weeks and months. It feels incredible, as you can imagine. I'm just looking forward to to getting down there in third week in February and starting in the Chubb. Just really looking forward to just getting down here and practicing and to be a full member of the Champions Tour. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to be honest.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know you've won a lot of tournaments, but what were you thinking about the last few holes? Did you know where you stood, and did you know that you were going to do as well as you did at the at Q School?
I had a good feeling that I'd play well at Q School. I was going into the tournament playing well. I didn't know what to expect. It was my first time going to the Champions Tour Q School, so I didn't know what it was like. The first time you do anything. And to answer your question, when I got down to the last few holes, I knew I was playing well. But I never know how many under or over par I am. I just kind of hit each shot at a time. So I had to ask my caddy, Todd Luigi, on 16. I said, how do we stand? And he said, he goes, "You're at 17 under." And I said, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Yeah." He goes, "You're 7 under today." I said, "Wow." Couldn't comprehend it, couldn't believe it. And the next thing I wanted to know is how many shots clear of fifth place I was. So I said, how many shots do we have? And he kind of looked at me, and sometimes Todd doesn't hear very well. And he said, "You got 3." And I said, "Oh, wow. Okay." I thought, instinctively, I'm like, okay, well, I got 3 shots. I better play some golf. 3 shots to fifth place. Everybody's playing well. And he heard me say this to myself, and he turns to me and he goes, "No, you got a 3-shot lead." And then I just said, "Well, how many till fifth?" And he just looked at his phone and he said, "Well, you got 9." And that kind of
Wow.
Put things into perspective. And yeah, I mean, it definitely made the last 3 holes much easier.
Well, I know you got a lot of congratulatory phone calls, but you had to make one right after you won, and you did a couple of interviews, and that was to your wife. How emotional was that for both of you?
Yeah, that was, being in that moment, I worked so hard my entire life up into that moment. So there was a lot of emotion coming out of me at that point. And her, she was on the other end of it, feeling the same way. Cause, she's been with me, the past, 14 years, kind of going through this. So it's been, it's just been a really fun ride. We're totally blessed. We're happy to make all of our plans, and we're looking forward to what 2022 and beyond is going to bring us.
Well, after that, and probably within that same day, you got a phone call. I know you're a director of golf at a Gary Player golf course, but you got a phone call from Gary and then also from Tom Watson. What did they say?
It was just, congratulations, well done. They've spent a few times up at my place up at Glen Arbor. We have the Gary Player Invitational and the Barenberg outing. So we get to see a lot of the legends, all the icons, come up, to entertain guests. And so I've gotten to know a few of them, and they're all just gentlemen and just surrounded by the game of golf, which is, I just can't wait to become a part of that. Great phone calls from legends of guys that I idolized and admired, growing up in the game. It makes you feel really good, obviously.
Yeah, now you're going to be playing with him. You're going to be one of the guys. And how many events, Rob, are you planning on playing for the year?
Yeah, this is all going to be new waters for me. 26 events I'm eligible for right now, so I'm going to just try to play a full schedule and see how my body takes it, see how I travel, see if I can do 3 weeks in a row away from my family. I'm just going to get a feel for it. It'll start out in February. I believe the tour, we go 3 weeks in a row. We go from Florida to Arizona to California. And, I'll be down here a week prior prepping. So I'll be away 4 weeks. It'll be interesting to see how I handle it, how my family handles it. And, we're just kind of testing the water, so to speak, and see what my body can handle and what makes sense for optimizing the game.
Well, I know you're good friends with Jerry Kelly, and I know you and him talk, but what did he tell you to expect? I know he's kind of trying to get you mentally ready and prepared for the travel and all the things that you're going to go through, but what was your talk like with him about being a full-time member and what your expectations might be?
Yeah, I mean, he's just trying to be helpful. Super nice guy. I've known Jerry a lot of years. He's just, he reached out and he said, travel's super important. Make sure you travel well. He goes, because if you're rested and you traveled well, you'll play well. At least you'll optimize your performance. So, little things like that, which aren't so little, that I'm just kind of, picking and choosing from certain things that I hear from people. And it's been since 2003 since I played full time. I played the Canadian Tour in 03 and 04. So I'll have to draw back on some of my travel experiences and, just learn how to eat properly and while I'm on the road and work out and just, find a balance on the road that I have when I'm at my house.
And that's what a lot of people that know now that you're on the tour, they don't understand all the other things that come with it. As you said, how to eat, how to rest. I mean, how to spend my spare time, how to spend my practice time. And there's just a lot of other aspects that come onto it besides showing up for your tee time.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the greatest thing about out here is the pro-ams. I mean, the pro-ams are such a huge fabric of the Champions Tour and entertaining the pro-am people who play out here. So, that's done 2 days a week. Really looking forward to that, getting to know some people and talking to all these people about their walks in golf and how we ended up on the same course together. So, it's a demanding, there's things you have to do. There's places you have to be, and then you have to get your practice in and work out and you got to get your meditation in and all the things that got you here to the point, or at least got me here. I have to just find a way to repeat and find a good routine while I get out on the road, which will be interesting the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, sure. And the pro-ams give you an opportunity besides the other practice days to play the courses. Some you may be familiar with, but probably many you are not.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with really any of the golf courses on the Champions Tour there. I played one, Saucon Valley, where the U.S. Senior Open is, and I'm not even qualified for that event yet. So, I've got a lot of new golf courses to learn, that's
right.
for sure. So I'm sure I'll be taking some Tuesdays and even some Mondays out to just kind of, get right around and get used to the surroundings and the greens and where to hit it and where not to. But it's still going to be a heck of an adventure. And I can't wait to get to work and get all this stuff done.
What are your expectations this year, Rob? I mean, first year on, as you said, playing unfamiliar golf courses, just a thrill to be where you are. So what are your expectations? How are you going to go into this? Just enjoy the ride?
Well, you go enjoy the ride, but also work my tail off to make sure that the ride is as smooth as possible. I'm a hard worker. I love doing everything with the game of golf, and now I get to put my game sort of on the forefront and travel and learn the golf courses and save shots here and there. So for me, it's really just getting into this new water that I'm in and navigating the water, and then playing good golf along the way. I mean, I look at the entire thing as a new golf course. This entire year is a new golf course for me. So I get to go have a bunch of experiences that I haven't had ever in my life. I'm going to be talking to some of the greatest, or if not the greatest players that have ever walked the grass, and I'll be learning hopefully a bunch of new things, and maybe even throw out a nugget or two for the guys out there along my journey. So just looking forward to sharing golf with everybody that I get a chance to meet out here, and playing to the best of my ability. Those are the two goals.
Well, that's all you can do. I mean, you've already played some pretty darn good golf along in your career. Now you're going to play with some of the guys that you've looked up to and known all these years. Tremendous amount of luck and blessings to you as you start out on the Champions Tour this year, Rob. Thank you for being with us.
Rich, thank you very much for having me on the show. Blessings back at you, and have a great 2022 and beyond, okay?
You bet, and you as well. Take care.
Thank you, Rich.
All right, Rob Labritz, former director of golf, club pro at a Gary Player event up in New York, now an official member of the Champions Tour. Coming up, senior writer for Golf Week, Jeff Babineau, is going to be with us talking about the father-son tournament with Tiger and a lot of other things going on in the year of 2022. But right now, you need to check out the monthly specials created by the local elementary schools only at CJ's Italian Restaurant. You can check them out. The teachers and the kids come up with some great ideas for pizzas. And if you order those, part of the proceeds goes back to the kids to help them at their school. So it's a great organization, a great job by CJ's. Most of their food is made in their kitchen from scratch every morning, including their pizza doughs, their breads, their sauces, my mouth is watering, dressings, toppings, meatballs, lasagna, and even PJ is sitting here going, let's go. Well, they open at 4:30 every day, so check them out. Their produce is delivered fresh and prepared daily. You can only get deep dish at CJ's, and it is incredible. Reminds me of Chicago. Yep, it does. So check out their menu at cjsitalianrestaurant.com.
Hey, this is Bo Van Pelt from the PGA Tour, and you're listening to the Back Nine Boys.
And welcome back. I'm Rich Stiles. Glad you're with us. Happy New Year to y'all. We appreciate you being with us on a Saturday morning. Our next guest is Jeff Babineau, who's a great writer. And just want to talk to Jeff a little bit about what he saw at the father-son. Good morning, Jeff, and welcome to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
Morning, Rich. Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year to you, too. What were your thoughts when you went to the PNC, the Ritz? Tiger, Charlie were there. What was your first indication? What was your first thought when you heard they were going?
My first thought was surprised. I know the tournament was holding a spot for those two, and it just sounded very hopeful. All we had seen just weeks earlier was Tiger basically hitting a wedge. And then he was hitting a few balls on the weekend at the Hero. And when we went out and walked the practice round with those two on Friday, it was just pleasantly surprising to see how far along Tiger was. He had talked about his lack of speed, but he had more speed than I think we expected to see. He was hitting shots, he was enjoying himself, and he just adds so much to an event. So, I was just pleasantly surprised to see how far along he was, and then to have his son add to the mix with his incredible play. They really put on quite a show. So it was a really nice way to end a long golf year.
Yeah, and obviously everybody was watching. The ratings were just incredible. Golf course is great, plays well for him. It looked like it played better for Charlie, but he took some shots I couldn't believe. But observations. I mean, I talked to Peter Kuchar via text, and he said when we walked with him on Sunday, there's no way that he would be able to play 4 rounds of golf at this point.
Yeah, that's going to be the big challenge.
Yeah.
I actually walked up. I talked to Matt at the end of the round, and I just wanted to get his observations on where he thought Tiger was. And he goes, man, he was hitting all the shots that he can imagine. And we talked about the big factor for Tiger going forward in determining whether or not he can play is just the walking of a golf course. And that was kind of like, I think he'll be able to figure that out. But I think that's a huge, people kind of underrate that as part of a golfer's week. If you're playing a practice round on Wednesday, you're walking 35, 40 miles a week. And Tiger definitely showed fatigue in the middle of his back rounds to the week. So that's going to be a huge deal. Once he gets to that point, that'll be the hurdle to clear to get back to compete, as he says, as a part-time player. But we certainly all hope to see that happen.
And part-time, when do you think, based on what you saw and what you talked to Matt about and Tiger, what do you think the Tiger showing will be as far as coming back to play?
Yeah, it's so hard to say because, he honestly seemed to not know himself. So, when you talk timetables, I think he's just been really smart about it and patient about it. And just, it sounds cliche, but he really does take it day by day. At one point, he talked about working from meal to meal. And he said once he was able to get out of bed after a few months, there's been no days off. So he's certainly working at it. I would hope to see him in the summer at the Open Championship in some form.
Okay.
The last time around, it's 150th Open. It's a course if there's a course you can walk, that's a course you can walk. They always do something with the past champions. So you'd probably be at the dinner and maybe play an exhibition with the champions. And who knows, maybe he'll tee it up in the tournament proper. But right now, the timetable, I think he's being pretty smart about not really setting one and seeing how it goes.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting year because there'll be a Tiger watch the entire year, especially around the Masters. But I'm not sure that he's ready to walk up and down those hills at Augusta.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's watching Phil this week play at Kapalua, and he hadn't been there in 21 years. And the first observation he had walking off the course on Thursday is what a hard walk it was. And that's, Augusta's like that. Augusta's one of the hardest walks of the year. The caddies always say that, and that would seem like an awfully tall task. But I've learned one thing. I've covered Tiger since his amateur days.
Yeah.
You never can doubt the guy, so you just don't know what he's going to pull off.
Well, you mentioned it. You've covered over 100 major, 12 Ryder Cups, all 15 of Tiger's majors. Which one of his majors stands out to you from the 15 that he's already gotten?
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be between the first one, which was just so dominating and such a life-changing event for golf, winning the Masters in '97, to probably winning a U.S. Open by 15 shots. I mean, it was just, we knew Tiger was at a different level, but you don't win any kind of golf tournament by 15 shots, let alone a U.S. Open, and let alone do it with a triple bogey on the card.
Yeah.
That was just amazing. I mean, just showed you he wasn't a level separate from these guys. He was a few levels separate, and that was just an amazing. Just to see the shock on the players' faces that week of how are we going to take this guy down? How are we ever going to beat him? It was just amazing. You know, the Ernie Els and all the guys, Davis Loves of that era. They almost want to put their hands up and surrender to the guy who's that dominant.
Yeah, he's come back from a lot of things that I think a lot of people never thought he would come back from. He's had a rough, 12, 13 years as far as injuries and some other things. It'll just be interesting to see. And as you say, he's looking day to day. He's probably looking tournament to tournament and maybe looking at this point for summer or fall to see what he can do.
Yeah, and as you say, it's going to be electric when he does. I mean, I can't imagine that. It won't be a golf event. It'll be a worldwide sports event, and we saw that in the little hit and giggle father son, the parent child event, drew over 2 million viewers on the weekend days, and when he comes back to golf, it's going to be a huge event for all sports.
Well, let's talk about another huge event that's coming up at the end of this month in Orlando, the upcoming PGA show. Many major players are not going to be there. So what do you think we're going to see when we go down there?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I like the show. I've been going to the show probably since the early 90s, and I can remember the days when they actually were real product launches there. I mean,
right.
Saw the Big Bertha or things like that. So it's always it's just a great gathering, right? It's the one time we get to gather as a sport, so many different facets of the industry. And some of these companies, the Titleists and TaylorMades and Callaways and Cobras would build mini cities in there that were really interesting to see. But as you say, it's going to be a little different, a little quiet. I mean, it'll. I think we're still there's a lot of trepidation just into the world of travel these days in the state of the times, and
sure.
And it'll be nice to see a lot of people, because we really haven't gathered as a group in golf for a while, it seems. And so it won't be the robust show I think we're used to, but I think when golf gets together, a lot of good things happen, and so I think it'll have a positive effect in that manner.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. As you said, without the product launches, social media has really kind of taken away a lot of the product launches that they used to do at the PGA show, and now they're launching those in November, December ahead of the show, and then it's kind of like, okay, now you can see, feel, and touch it, but it's really going to have a different feel when we get down to Orlando in January.
Yeah, I mean, when I was at Golf Week for almost 20 years, our equipment guys would almost be bored at the show after a while because they'd seen all the stuff.
Right.
You say, I mean, you pretty much have to get it out in front of people in the fall if you're going to get into the selling season of a new year. And I think in the past, like this new TaylorMade driver would be something that would have a ton of interest.
Right.
At the PGA show. As we said, like back in the day, we'd never seen a Big Bertha, let alone even hear of it. And it dropped in the pages of USA Today the same morning they launched it at the show, and it was a real buzz. You could really create some buzz on the floor of the show, and there'd be transactions, there'd be companies bought and sold on the floor, and it's just a lot of cool electricity to it, I think, for the industry. But as you say, with people launching stuff early, we've seen a lot of the new stuff. I think some people maybe don't cycle product as frequently as they used to right now in the times. But golf seems to be in a good place. I mean, it seems pretty hot. It seems like the the equipment companies are doing pretty well, and there's a lot of interest. So hopefully we see that trend continue.
Yeah, but going down to the show, what I'm thinking about is let's look at some of the little guys that may not get as much publicity, that may be introducing some new things, or just give us more time to look at what they've had that has always been overshadowed by the big people being there.
Yeah, you're right, for sure. There's it always amazes me, the ingenuity of people at the show. The different things people think of, the different carts you see these days, the single rider stuff, and all the scooters, and there's just always some cool innovation there. And yeah, hopefully we'll see that. I don't know what demo day will be like. I'm sure a lot of companies will hopefully still be there with that. And it's, as you say, it's a nice way to see and feel these things. A lot of times you just read about products, so it's kind of cool to see them and feel them and test them out a little bit. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. But as you said, there's just so many smaller players there. It really might be their chance to shine.
Yeah. So, Jeff, with the year now that looks like we're going to be back traveling a little bit more, fam trips are probably going to be coming back a little bit more. What are you looking forward to this year as far as your travels?
It's just some normalcy. I wasn't going to Kapalua this year, but for years I went to Kapalua, and I was kind of really thankful. Not as much as I love that place, and I just would get there and recharge the batteries for New Year. I'm still a little sheepish on the or skittish on the travel, right?
Yeah, right.
Getting on a plane for 11 hours from Atlanta to Honolulu, and so I'm just looking for normalcy where we can travel. Golf's such a global game, and it's played everywhere, and I think it's cool where we can watch golf. And I love being out at tournaments and walking and feeling it, and certainly look forward to it. It's a cool slate of majors this year, and I just really most look forward to just a little bit of return to normalcy here, where we can hop on a plane or go to all these events and not really have that as such a big factor into the week.
Yeah, well, the new normal, I'm not sure we all know what that is at this point, and that normal may have a different definition than it used to,
You're right.
All right, Jeff, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Jeff Babineau, former golf writer with Golf Week magazine, and now writes for a lot of publications, does a great job. We'll be back with Jeff right after this on the Back Nine Boys Golf Show.
I'm Brandel Chambly of Chambly Piece of Golf, and you are listening to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show with Rich.
And welcome back. I'm Rich Stiles. Glad you're with us. We're with Jeff Babineau, former golf writer with Golf Week magazine. Jeff, did it surprise you that Bones went from the mic back to caddying with JT?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I think it speaks to the thrill of the chase that the caddies get. You know, Bones is a great caddy. You know, almost 30 years on the bag with Phil, but I would joke with him at events. It seemed awfully nice to be walking around with a microphone in your hand and not a 40-pound golf bag on your shoulder.
Yeah.
But I think it speaks to the chase that these guys really get involved in the chase. I think he would do it for the right guy. And Justin Thomas, he has a lot of belief in. He really likes the way his game has progressed, and you know, he's learned so many new shots from when he was a young kid coming up, and everything seemed to be, you know, full out power. He now has added the finesse part to his game, and he's just a world-class player. So, I mean, if you're going to caddy, you got to have the right bag and the right guy, and I think he has that, Justin Thomas.
Yeah, he's had some pretty good luck, not only with Phil, but now with JT. It'll be interesting to see. What are your thoughts, Jeff, on the PGA Tour stance and the new Saudi Tour, the Greg Norman, all this stuff going on? I mean, it's just going to go back and forth. There is going to be a battle. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, in my mind, when I first heard it, it only works if you get all the guys almost, right? I mean, you can't get a handful.
Right.
You can't take, you know, if you have 5 or 6 guys, that's going to get stale pretty quick. But it's interesting. And I think to George B's point, it's kind of raised the tide for all the tours. I mean, it did make the PGA Tour look at what it's doing. It came up with the PIP program that you might not have seen otherwise. That, I mean, I don't know if it's a good program or not. It made a lot of rich guys richer.
Yeah.
It is rewarding the guys that move the needle. You know, it's saying, hey, we appreciate you, and that's meaningful. The purses are amazing. I mean, if you look down the schedule and see, you know, the purses that are now over $10 million. I think Bay Hill in our backyard here in Orlando is 12.5, and those were WGC type numbers not that long ago, and those are week to week stops. So I do think, you know, in all, the battle for players is only going to help the players.
And do you think the PGA Tour will ever announce who won the PIP programs? Phil says he won. Tiger says he won.
It sounds like Phil won, and I think he did. And I'm pretty sure Tiger might finish 2, as limited as he was last year. So, you know, it's kind of a lifetime appreciation check that, you know, Phil added Kapalua this week to get the second half of the $8 million, he said. So, yeah, I mean, with the year Phil had, winning a major and what he does on social media and jumping into things like the match, if he ends up being announced as a winner or it comes out he won, that's not going to surprise me in the least.
Why do you think Patrick Reed, Jeff, is so misunderstood, kind of in his own little world, and just kind of wants to stay in there? And, you know, now the announcement on PXG, no big deal to me. I mean, I don't care what clubs he plays, but he's kind of gone up and down as far as popularity. As Captain America's kind of maybe gone away a little bit.
Yeah, he's an interesting cat. I've never had anything but good dealings with Patrick Reed. I mean, I think I find him honest and a good interview. And, you know, when his game, a couple of years ago, his game was in real bad shape, and he was walking over to see David Ledbetter at Tampa, and he gave us all kinds of time talking about the struggles he was going through and things like that. But golf's a different game, and some of these guys are real lone wolves. I think he's kind of one of those guys. It's Patrick and his family, and they kind of dig in and take on the world type of thing. But I've never had difficult dealings with him. I enjoy watching him play. I mean, I think he's a fantastic player. He's a great putter. He puts himself in some bad spots, you know, sometimes, which is unfortunate. And these guys control their own image. So, you wonder sometimes why he ends up in spots he's been in. But he's a terrific player, and, you know, hopefully he kind of resurrects his image a little bit, because I do think he's a world-class guy that's worth watching.
Yeah, gotcha. Jeff, I can't thank you enough for being with us. Happy New Year, and maybe we'll see each other down at the PGA show.
Let's do it. Thanks, Rich.
All right, Jeff Babineau, former writer with Golf Week, giving his thoughts on what's going on with the Saudi Tour and the PGA Tour, Patrick Reed, many more. Listen to us every Saturday and Sunday right here on ESPNCoastal.com. To the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, 8 to 9, also on back9boys.com. Listen wherever you listen to your golf podcasts and on YouTube. Thanks for being with us, and Happy New Year, everybody.
Listening to the Back Nine Boys Golf Show with Rich Stiles. Go to back9boys.com for all things golf whenever you want it. We'll be back next week with an all-new Back Nine Boys at back9boys.com.